Nothing grows when you die.
Okay, and I hear some things remain.
That's one of the most disgusting things in the morgue. Is the smell. Yes, actually, I brag to be amongst the best. I'm working in the best mortuary in the country, one of the best, one of the cleanest.
In Nyahururu?
Yes, our service, I think, are top notch, if I'm allowed to say that.
Did you listen to the Hot Breakfast this morning? Here's what you missed. A story a day.
All right, this one's going to be interesting, folks. Stand by for this one. I don't think we've ever interviewed anyone like this, and it's a very cold morning.
I feel the shivers while I'm here in the studio.
And it's not the AC.
Yes, it's almost like a cold room.
I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this young lady. She has combined a profession and made it actually almost fun. And, you know, there's nothing fun about being a mortician. I don't know how someone gets inspired to do that. It takes a lot of guts to do that.
But I guess maybe it's because we haven't understood really what goes
on.
Yes.
But then on top of that, just to lighten things up, she's a TikToker with about 50,000 followers.
Okay.
So she's, she's very established and she loves her job clearly.
And she's told us off air she fell in love with the job 6 years ago.
Imagine, 6 years she's been a mortician. Anne Njoki, a.k.a. Mwangangi.
And she's got a smile out of this world, and her eyes and her soft skin will confuse you.
And welcome to Hot 96.
Thank you for having me, Jim.
Mambo.
First time.
When I heard she was coming here, I was like, the first question, you know, like the way us guys, when we get to work, Tosh from my show, she takes pictures of us in our office. Do you also do the same at your office?
Yes, we take selfies for the day. We
but
take
not with bodies behind you.
No, it's unethical. That's unethical. Yes. We're supposed
you
to
just do the peace sign and say, wow, another day at Jobo.
Another day to be grateful about life.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that's one
What
thing.
made you get into this, Anne?
Tragedy. I would say tragedy inspired me. I lost my own mother. That is 12 years ago.
Okay.
Almost. And the worst thing one will go through alone is grief. So I wish I had just even the smallest of support to go through grief.
Yeah.
So to some extent, I decided that even though I'll not go all the way, I will try to go that 1 mile with you so that you can at least get to something called acceptance as far as grief is concerned. The dead don't have the need for us to do anything for them, but the family does. So for me, I'm more interested with those that bring their kins to us more than the one who was rested. So everything we do is for the family and not for the deceased, because the deceased have no use for any of those things that we are doing.
So now, like, how do you help the family?
In terms of helping the family, it's just a matter of getting closure, right? So it's a matter of just easing their relief and pain. It's a matter of making sure that the person has the assumption of rest, that they are no longer they're no longer suffering. It's just making them look like they are alive. It brings a lot of closure. If you get someone in an accident, they look distorted, their brains were left on the road. It's upon you to do the reconstruction and make the family have that peace of mind, and knowing that they went out, as much as it was painful, they have that rest.
Oh, that's where that line, a decent send-off.
Yes.
Looks like they're resting.
Yes.
Okay.
What? The first time you walked into a morgue.
Yeah.
What was that like? Oh, by the way, what were you doing before?
I wanted to pursue education and become a teacher, probably a lecturer in future. Until priorities changed along the way.
Now you're teaching the dead.
I teach the living how to accept death, because it's part of us. So for me, the first time I walked into a morgue, it's something that I had discussed with myself. It's not something you just wake up and walk into a morgue. So for me, it was not about fear, it was just about service.
But yeah, like, you know, like public ones is a whole different ballgame.
Trauma.
Yeah. So I've served in both.
Oh yeah?
I have been in both the entities, the private and the public entity. For me, I think one of my most disturbing scenes is the smell.
Yeah.
You cannot be taught how to not smell or how not to fear. Those are things that are self-taught. So for me, one of the things that really bothered me is the smell. So I decided anywhere that I will go, That is the first thing I will work on, is to make a better environment for someone else. As far as smell goes, because I think that's one of the most disgusting things in the morgue, is the smell.
It never goes away.
Yes, actually, I brag to be amongst the best mortuary. I'm working in the best mortuary in the country, one of the best, one of the cleanest.
In Nyahururu.
Yes. One of the cleanest
And
mortuaries
how busy
in the
is it
country.
there?
Well, I think when we started, our boss had underestimated us. He didn't think like we'll be that much accepted. Our service, I think, are top notch, if I'm allowed to say that. So we have been embraced by people. And we have so many transfers of people transferring their bodies all over the country, outside the country, to our premises.
Outside the country?
Yes.
So you
From where?
Repatriation. Maybe someone died outside the country.
Like in the US or whatever?
Yes. They are brought to us.
To Nyahururu.
Yes.
Thompson's Falls.
Almost.
Wow.
Goodness.
Yeah.
So now, there's so many questions. So, so at least for the private place, you can make sure it's clean and someone can enter and not feel, that bad, But now, what do you recommend to like public ones? 'Cause I feel like public ones is usually the most traumatic experience you can have. Like even getting closure will be difficult. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you consult with them, or what should government do? Is it the employees who
Exactly.
don't have the? Because there's a time also like with the public ones, you hear the refrigerator got spoiled 2 weeks ago. You're like,
So that happens. I think most of these public facilities are under-equipped by the government, because I think one of the most forgotten careers or the most forgotten departments is the mortuary. They will renovate everywhere else, but forget the mortuary. We usually come in as others. So yes, it's a forgotten department. You find the government does not find the need to really equip these places. Sometimes the morticians are very much trained. They know what they're supposed to do. But just tell me you've been brought in a body that has been decomposing for the last 2 weeks, and you don't have the refrigeration for it or the equipment for preservation. What happens? The body is in your place. You're supposed to take care of it. It's unknown. It's unclaimed. No one has come to inquire about the same. It's there for a month, 2, 3, until the government decides to dispose it.
And
So
in the
what-
meantime, it's in the fridge.
No, it's just lying outside there.
Huh?
It's just lying on racks because there's no refrigeration services. So what do you expect? The place is gonna smell. So it's not about the matter of morticians being trained. They are trained, but they are not equipped. Most of them.
how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
It's hard. And that is where you find people say the public facilities are not good. That is why you have that notion. It's not the goodness in it. It's what they work with. It's what they have to work with. They have little or no support.
Let me ask you now, like after a day like that, you works like 6 days a week, maybe, or 5.
Yes.
So now after you've left work and there's this guy who was brought, the fridges are not working, how do you even close your eyes to even rest?
How do you have a steak afterwards?
Because a person like Jeff can scream the whole night.
And how do you have a steak afterwards?
I think everyone has some type of grace by the end of the day. You see that you're holding that mic with a lot of authority. That's something I cannot claim. I don't have that type of grace.
But you have
So
your own
I
time.
have my own type of grace that I will work on such a body, go home, have some good sleep, leave work to be work, resume tomorrow and, carry on.
And you're okay.
And I'm perfectly
And you'll eat okay.
Very well.
But the first 3 days, was it traumatic? Because I can
The
imagine.
smell, yes. It was I used to be bloated all the time. Yes. The first 3 months.
What does your
was a
boyfriend
challenge.
think about this job of yours?
Most people that you meet there are people who are within your radius and parameters. So they first of all get to know what you do for a living. It's hard for you to hide. It's either you're meeting me on on my workplace. It's either you're around me and you know who I am before even you start talking to me. But I always say there is Anne before the mortician. There is me before the mortician.
Tell us about Anne before the mortician.
No, there
Too
is
many
yeah, there is Anne before the mortician. That's what I would say. And probably he met me at my line of service. Who knows?
Oh.
Yeah.
Like maybe he sells coffins and stuff. So you guys like compliment each other like, man, that could have job.
That's not allowed. It's not allowed.
Oh, it's not allowed?
Yes.
It's a conflict.
Yes, the conflict of interest. It's not allowed. It will be a family business.
Yeah. All right. So how did you get into TikTok?
getting into TikTok was just, I did it for fun. And then I randomly did a video of, have you ever seen a lady mortician? And the interest spiked up. And I saw it's a point of, interest. And I invested in it. I just wanted to show people that we are people just like you. There has been a perception and a notion of we are not okay, we are not well put together, we are not mentally stable, you need to do something in order to do something. So I just wanted to clear the narrative where I stand, that amongst all the things that you have heard, there is us, the people who are actually with some education, love what they do, and are passionate about what they do in their daily, and we are just human beings by the end of the day, yes.
And then you even dance in your videos inside the morgue.
I just want to show people, let's embrace what is inevitable. Death is inevitable. Some of us are very comfortable watching theater surgeons doing their thing. And we might never end up on those tables, or even our loved ones. But one thing is for sure and one thing is guaranteed. We are all going to the morgue. Unless
Wacha hiyo pepo mbaya kwa hiyo ofisi yangu auntie. Wacha hiyo pepo mbaya.
Oh man, we're gonna end up there, huh?
yeah.
It's inevitable. So let me talk about it, because you've said because some people do a really poor job in morgues of presenting people, like cotton wool sticking out, the skin's a bit dry, but you make sure someone looks like they're sleeping. Is that the guarantee?
That is the guarantee.
You said the morgue is called what?
Pope Benedict.
Pope Benedict.
Pope Benedict the 16th.
Oh, in Nyahururu?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the guy who resigned.
Sorry?
Nothing. It's a real story.
Yeah.
And how do you make sure of that? What do you do? You put makeup? You do?
Yes.
We just do the process the way it's supposed to be done, like it's recommended or what?
I've done cosmetology as a course. I would say I'm a beautician.
That one beautiful, eh?
I'm a beautician. I've done cosmetology, so I know my way around grooming, especially for men when they come and probably you are on your sick bed and you could not receive the proper grooming. There is the way people perceived you when you are alive. There is the way people know you. You didn't have beards, so we have to chop them off. Okay, if it is your hair, maybe it was it was the hair. So what we do, we liaise with the family. Everything that does not entail the normal routine of a body comes from the family. They're the ones to tell us, we don't know you from anywhere. They're the ones to tell us how you used to look like when you were alive. So we liaise with them. Photos are used. If you are someone who does makeup, like me, if you present me without makeup, some of the people will not actually know who I am. They'll be like, is this Anne for real, So if she's the one putting on her makeup, they'll be like, is she the one really? So we liaise with the family, because us, when you're brought to us, we do not know who you are. So it's the family to tell us who you are. Yes.
Is it true the nails keep growing even when you're dead?
That is called the optical illusion. Nothing grows when you die. The system is completely shut. All right? It's the shrinkage of the skin, the dehydration of the losing of the water, So everything you see is just a push-up, all right? It's just the skin pushing because it's dehydrated. It's called the optical illusion. Nothing grows when you die.
Okay, and I hear some things remain...
Joy free.
That's just what I've Nick Wally.
Who is going to be opening that part of the coffin to check if you...
The mortician.
Are you you don't want people to open your coffin?
What are some of the questions people ask you? Like,
the first impression, people think I'm a secretary. I pass for a secretary or a receptionist.
Yeah?
That is the first thing they ask. The first thing they ask, where's the mortician? And I'm like, you're looking at her, but you cannot say that. You're like, it's me. They're like, no, we are not the secretary. We are looking for the mortician.
I can imagine an old man saying,
Exactly. Yes, so sometimes I get confused for not being a mortician. Maybe because they have also the perception, the narrative of what has been. So coming and seeing difference to, embracing is difficult a bit. To embrace something new that you're not familiar with. So that is one of the questions I get asked mostly. Why is the mortician? Yes.
You only said you did cosmetology, so you there's a course for morticians, eh?
Yes, mortuary science.
Mortuary science.
Yes, yes.
Like, what's this place down here called? Chiromo.
Chiromo.
How long does it take?
For certificate, Chiromo takes about 3 months. Masindi Muliro around 1 year. It depends. Right now they have introduced the diploma in mortuary science, which takes for upgrading, that is the in-service, it's 2 years. For the pre-service, if you are direct from high school, it's 3 years. Yeah.
Are there many women in this profession?
And for I was reading a gazette, I think 3 days ago. My picture was on it, and they were saying that ladies are uptaking the role a lot.
Is that right?
And I'm really, really happy because I know the system is going to change. Yes, the system will change.
What would you like people to do about, because you've also demystified it, and obviously a lot of people have that notion of how someone who works in a like people assume that guys smoke a lot of weed, and those are the only Kenyans who are allowed to smoke it. Like, if you're caught with that and tell the police where you are, they're like, what's a paper. You know what I mean? Yeah. What's what I'm looking for to kill that stigma or stereotype about that industry? What would you like people to know?
I cannot talk on behalf of every mortician.
Because you know some who smoke or drink.
I cannot talk on behalf of everyone. What I can say is that when it's grace or when it's passion driven, grace aligns itself. But when it's driven by other things, usage also aligns itself. It depends what's the reason you're there. Is it for serving or just there for your own reasons? So whatever reason it is that you're there to do is what will align itself. Mine, I would say, is purely grace. All right? Yes. So, yeah, it's just purely grace.
Tell me something. Do you have a mortician's SACCO, or do you have a...
Yes, we have an association called the MAPAKE. MAPAKE.
What is
yes,
that?
Morticians and Allied Professions, Kenya.
Do you meet often?
Yes, actually, we were here, I think, a month ago at YMCA for a reunion, our first, I think, so we were celebrating 1 year.
You can imagine what they talk about.
Yeah, do you guys talk about work a lot?
Actually, not really.
No?
Not really. I think people, the laymen, they're the ones who are interested in us talking about our jobs. When we are together, we talk about other things. We have lives, we have families. Yes.
What do you do during your free time?
I love traveling.
Oh, that's what young girls like doing, by the way. Do you travel alone?
Yeah, I love doing solo trips.
Oh, yeah?
I'm very big on that, yeah.
Where was your last trip?
Kakamega.
What did you go to do?
I had gone to enroll for school last, is it 3 days ago?
Oh.
Yeah.
What, you studying more? Or?
Yes, I'm studying some more.
Kakamega and...
Masinde Muliro University.
So what happens to the Nyahururu job?
No, I keep it and then I'll be studying online.
Oh, online classes?
Yes.
Yeah. Tosh is really giving me that look. Ever gone on a road trip with this age group? Tosh is usually free on Saturdays.
Wow.
What's the most challenging thing that you faced at work? Because I read a story where some guy was insisting on seeing a body of a road traffic accident victim, and then, and it took a while. He was screaming and yelling and insisting. Tell us, what's the most challenging thing?
I think one of the most heartbreaking things for me is children. The death of a child, probably between the age, let's say, from 0 to, the age of 18, 21, there's a lot of potential in there. And even seeing the mother handing you over their child from their arms, it's a lot of weight. So I think that's, if I had a way, I would never be dealing with such kind of cases if I was to be asked, but no one asks. I think that is one of my biggest trauma as far as my work goes, is children. I don't like handling them. If there is someone in the department to do it, better believe you will not be within the vicinity. Yes, that's how bad it is.
Do you have any of your own?
Not yet, but I'm a proud legal guardian to my brother. I'm raising my brother, so yes, he's in Form 3, heading to Form 4 now. Yeah, I'm a parent. Yeah.
And what's the best thing about this job?
It's the fulfillment by the end of the day. When you close and there was someone who had gratitude in the midst of pain and disaster. It's very hard to find someone who's grateful when they are grieving, because their head is all in one place. But to find someone who comes back and says, Anne, I remember you served us last year, and have this. There's a lady who brought me peace. Not the peace, She brought me the peace. She was like, we didn't have the money, but we want you to have this. Go and eat.
How many kilos?
I didn't measure.
Oh, it was a lot.
It was a lot, actually. I had to give my neighbor some.
Ah.
Yeah, so it's that gratitude, the fulfillment that you wiped a tear by the end of the day. When the day comes to an end, you did something for someone that probably impacted their lives. That is what keeps me going by the end of the day.
If you weren't doing this, would you still be in education? Would you have pursued that degree in education?
If I had a chance, I would, but also I think I found my purpose in life. I found my purpose in life, and this is what I think I'm good at. This is where my heart is. This is what I think God ordained me to do.
Hallelujah.
Yes. I believe that this is what God wanted me to do. So even if I'm out right now, I know I have done my bit to serve the people, to serve humanity, and I've lost myself in service. And I'm grateful for all of it. Like, for me, I'm fulfilled as a human being. If other things come to play afterwards, I have done my part. Yeah.
What's the working environment? Yesterday we were reading about toxic boxes or toxic workplaces. Does your boss even have the inkling, or, can any boss in such an environment try to be, toxic to their employees? Because if you just say, "Aya bas, wacha nikuachie kazi," what happens?
Do your work diligently with a lot of integrity, and you don't have to rub shoulders with no one. Just go to work, do your bit,
Diligently.
and then just go home. Just go home. By the end of the day, I usually say, I owe my clients my allegiance, not my boss. No, these are the people, this is the society that I'm serving. This is the people I go home to. I'll only have one boss, but I'll have so many people in the society to live with. So my boss can do away with me, but the society, I have to keep, with them.
Yeah.
So for me, it's more of the families that walk in our corridor more than my boss. Yeah.
When you tell people you're a mortician, I mean, and there's not, like you said, traditionally this was a male-dominated field.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Do they express shock? Do they surprise? Do they ask you stupid questions? I mean, all of that.
I get a lot of questions, a lot of them. It's from a point of curiosity. Let me say it's just curiosity. I think when you find someone you're comfortable enough to ask, they're very curious beings. So there is the shock, yes. There are people who don't want to associate. That's on life. You can do nothing about it. I think the world is full of a lot of people with...
What kind of questions there? It's just humor.
The first question, are you married? And I'm like, what does marriage have to do with my work? Like, the fact that I'm serving you, I'm not supposed to get married. Do you have children? I'm like, wait, children? Am I supposed to bear children because I work in a morgue? You understand? So I'm like, anyway, I'm like, yeah, I have them. All of them, so many of them, because I think sometimes there's a lady, I'm sorry to say, one of the biggest thing that has had broken me over the course. I went to a certain bookshop, and it's a person I know. Okay, not personally, but she has seen me in the morgue. So I go and hand my hand to say hello, and she's like, I have a baby.
So?
Maybe I'm a bad omen, who knows? Maybe I carried death on my head.
But was she young, or she was getting older?
She was young. She's a young mother. She has a toddler. So she was like, I have a child. And I was like, wow.
So she refused to take your hand?
She refused to shake my hand.
I guess with time you learn to accept that some people are very ignorant, so there's nothing you can do about it.
Exactly.
Imagine if you came here and then we are unable to shake your hand.
Weren't you saying that you won't shake her hand earlier on?
That was a joke.
Nick.
Jeff.
No, ulisema. Toys, si alisema.
I said.
You said you will not shake her hand.
I said that when you come, I'll do that clap that some religions do as the nenio. Sasa ume narrate differently. But sasa unajua kwa ofisi yetu tunafaa kuwa na behind the scenes. Sasa umeleta in front of the scenes. Mbele ya mgeni, Jeff. Why?
Because you said it.
Mgeni mrembo kama you. Why?
You see,
I even hugged her.
You
twice.
to feel whether she was hot or cold.
But she is hot.
Oh, Jesus.
See what I did there?
I see what you did there.
Wow. No, we're just clowning. I was going to do the clap.
Yeah.
So they ask you a lot of questions. Oh.
I'm used to the questions. I answer what I can. What does not concern them, I keep it to myself. I refuse to shake my hand. All right? But you'll have to surrender your body without your own consent. I have to undress you. I have to wash you. I have to store you, dress you without your consent. Put on powder on your makeup, put in a casket, and send you off. So you can imagine neglecting me a hand and then surrendering your entire body to me without your knowledge.
That's power.
That's on integrity.
It's deep.
Yes.
How often do you post your videos?
As often as I can. I think the public needs to be educated, and that is the essence of my TikTok account, is education. Also to just keep up with my life. They need to know we have lives, we enjoy as much as they do, and yeah,
So-
as often as I can.
So, like Friday when you're free, where do you normally hang out? I'm asking on behalf of Tosh.
What does this have to do with anything?
No. I'm just curious. Do you do clubbing, or you're more of like a movie person? What do you do, like in the evenings on your free day?
I'm an indoor person. I come out as an extrovert, but actually I'm very introverted when it comes to new people. My circle is very tiny. I'm an indoor person. If I'm not at the work, I'm home. Or at the car wash. Either way.
Tosh, umesikia?
Car wash. Are your parents alive?
No.
Your mom died when you...
My mom died.
And your dad?
To be honest, I don't know. I
Oh,
don't
it's
know
one
if
of
he's
those guys.
alive or dead. I don't know.
Okay.
Your little brother, what does he think of what you do? This one who's in Form 3 going on Form 4?
I think if there's someone who cheers me on, he's my biggest cheerleader, because we only got each other, me and him. So I take him to work sometimes. On Sundays we go to church and then we drop off to work. He's still a bit skeptical about entering the cold room, but the farthest he can do is the office and the chapel.
Right.
The rest, I cannot also subject him to something that he doesn't understand. It's not fair. So yeah, I think he's one of my biggest cheerleaders.
You meet with stolen dreams, ended dreams, poems that went down, careers that were put on hold, procrastination. Talk to someone who is out there just saying, nitafanya kesho.
Especially young ladies.
The next minute is not guaranteed. We have now. The next minute is not guaranteed.
Yes.
Live in the moment. You have enough time to die. So in between right now and the day you die, live. Because that's what we forget to do. We forget to live. We worry about things that are out of our own control. We worry about so many things that we cannot change. And the aim is to focus. Focus on what makes you happy.
That is very deep. Makofi kwako.
The Hot Breakfast. Weekdays 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Only on Hot 96.